So good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Filmmakers Life. This is a series of interviews that I do with filmmakers, and I've been doing it ever since COVID started, and I realized that my friends were in lockdown and therefore couldn't say no when I asked them to be on an interview. And then, we've enjoyed it so much, we've just kept going. And today I'm starting a workshop looking at setting goals and intentions and everything for 2023. So every time I have done the workshop, I've really enjoyed inviting my clients to come on and be my guests to talk about whatever we're talking about. So today, I particularly would like to look at how 2022 went, and then looking at 2023, what's going to happen in 2023. So I want to introduce you all to Jimi Okubanjo. She is coming to us live from England. Welcome, Jimi. And Debbi Richards, who is coming to us live from Las Vegas. That sounds good, doesn't it? Live from Las Vegas. We're going to start with, I wonder if I could, how I'm going to do it. So I think I'll just go one at a time, and I'm going to start, I think, with Debbi. And so I also want everybody to know I tested positive for COVID yesterday, and I am feeling a whole lot better today, but I am a little bit out of my mind. So I'm usually a little bit out of my mind, but it's just more interesting with COVID. So Debbi, I would like you to look back at this time last year. So it's December 2021.
Sure.
And
so the preamble to that is that I started working with you in January last year, or February last year. Roughly.
February. Yeah. No, what, February 2021?
Yes.
Okay, February 2021. All right.
But yes.
Well, we could go back 2 years. How about we go back 2 years then and say December 2020?
Oh, wow. Okay, December 2020. Okay, so
before we met.
Context, I've been freelance directing 10 years and freelance editing 15 years, made 9 shorts, about 100 commercials, and I felt, it's long due for me to jump on the saddle and make a feature. And I knew in December of 2020 that it was going to happen. I just had no idea how. I just knew that this was the year that I was going to grab it, grip it, and rip it, and make it happen. Then I am going to
write that down with my special pencil that one of my clients sent me. Kay Pontucci is now doing art with pencils. So this is a pencil they sent me, and I'm going to write that down. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen.
Right. I firmly had that belief, and it was more stronger than I've ever felt it before. And I think it was kind of out of frustration, and because I tried a few times before and never really got anything off the ground on the feature side of things. Then long story short, I won some money in a little film competition in January. And the first thing I did was spend it on Joanne. And I was a little bit nervous because I'm always kind of skeptical of coaches, but I do recognize that even Tiger Woods has a coach. So
even who has a coach?
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods. True.
So while I'm skeptical in general, I spoke with you, Joanne, and I had a great feeling and went forward. Skip a few months later and raise the money to make my feature, shot my feature. And then, so like this time, December last year, we shot our feature, and I was, planning to go into post this year. And I made a real point last December of not making any goals for this year. Everyone was like, what are your goals? What are your goals? Everyone's setting goals, clubhouse goals. And I was like, no, it's too much pressure. I don't want to set any goals because The goal is the journey. There's no such thing as the destination, right? The destination is the journey. So rather than goals, I just have lists of chores that I got to keep, working through. And without
in a way, though, you already had established the goals. You didn't need any new goals.
Yeah, the goal is be happy, and what makes me happy is following my dream of making movies. So that's, it's just an ongoing goal. It's not like I have to write it down or achieve it, because even if I don't achieve it, it's the journey that is the reward for me personally. I'm very, very into the moment and enjoying what is real. And I'm thirsty, not hungry. I mean, sorry, hungry, not thirsty. Because I practice my craft and I work through it, and I'm doing it because I love movies. I'm a cinephile and I love movie magic. So anyway, long story short, this year, without having any goals, I did quite a lot. I directed 18 national TV commercials. I finished editing the feature, took it to AFM, got 10 offers on it at AFM. We're right now negotiating with a couple of different distributors. I also got a manager this year, also got a full-time assistant. I also ended up being the live editor for the live stream for the F1 and the Electric Daisy Carnival.
Live stream for what?
F1, Formula One racing.
Oh, yes.
And also the Electric Daisy Carnival and Outside Lands. And I just got booked for EDC for New Year's Eve in San Bernardino as the live stream editor. And I started shooting my second feature, which is a documentary, and we're 70% shot on that. And we're already talking to distributors halfway through making it about selling it. So without having any goals set this year, looking back on it, it seems like got quite a lot done. But it doesn't feel like that at the time. Like I said, I'm somewhat living the dream, but it doesn't feel like I'm living the dream because it's just a never-ending list of, chores. But I'm very happy and things are going great.
Yes, and Debbie, watching your progress has been very, very exciting. And in some ways, I just sort of feel validated about a particular thing, which is that I always say to my clients, who often, they'll come to me and they'll say, I want to find a producer for my film. I want an agent, they have a sort of list of things. And I'm always like, well, how about we make a feature film? And then we can revisit all of that.
Everything follows from that. And my buzz phrase for the year has been results may vary. And because on every level, right, everything depends what you put into it, and you'll get out what you put in. I'm the kind of person that you throw the ball to me, I'm going to run with it, right? And some people maybe not so much, some people maybe more so. So, results will vary. But really excited because not only am I in the process of selling a movie, I'm almost finished shooting my second movie, which was a similar budget. But we're also in the process of developing my next movie to shoot in 2024, which is a $1 to $1.2 million budget. And we even have a distributor now introducing us to the Stars Network to negotiate that deal. And we're planning to do that at Cannes next year. So this has been 15 years of hard work to
of an overnight sensation.
Yeah, because the last 6 years have been pretty bumper. Things have been, stepping up and stepping up. So I see a clear pathway. I'm a full-time feature filmmaker now, and I'm working towards my third feature, and it's all happened. It feels slow at the time, but when you look back, it's all very quick.
Mm-hmm. And now I want to ask this question because I've been wanting to ask you this and I just kept forgetting to ask. But so, you've been saying these things very, very fast. I don't know if anybody could even keep up, but so when we were working together and you were raising the money for the feature, it was very difficult and very painful, and fundraising is just, it's just
horrible,
hard. And that, I feel as though one of the things I do as a coach is I try to support somebody going through that difficult process. It's not easy.
Sure.
But there was a moment in there as you were doing your fundraising where you suddenly sort of realized, oh, wait a minute, I have this bartender community that I'm a part of. And I was like, oh, that's really exciting. I didn't know about the bartending and da 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 da. But it's so, was it from there, from that kind of realization, wait, I'm part of this fabulous community, that gave you the idea for your second feature?
Well, it's interesting. And just to give context, my second feature is a documentary about flair bartending, where they throw bottles around. And once upon a time, I used to be in that industry. And some connections from that industry helped fund my first film. But it was actually two old friends who run a bartending podcast. They wanted to interview me because of my contributions in the past to bartending, but they were also really curious about my life as a filmmaker now. And so we did this 2-hour podcast, and in it, the three of us were saying, look, if anyone should make a documentary, it should be us. So this documentary literally fell into my lap. I always said I'd never make a documentary. And so the fact that I started making—
Why did you say that?
I feel like, okay, this is going to sound really, it's ridiculous because I love watching documentaries, okay? So what I'm about to say is ridiculous and it makes me sound like an idiot, and it's an idiotic thing to say. But I look down on them as a filmmaker. I feel like, oh, that's too easy. And all my filmmaker heroes are narrative narrative storytellers, whether it be Tarantino, Spielberg, the list goes on. But the reality is, it's a ridiculous thing to say because I love documentaries and I watch documentaries, and they're, to do anything at the highest level is insanely difficult. So what I'm saying is a non secular, but it's just kind of like me being snobby, I guess, as a film school brat. I don't know. But anyway, so this one just fell into my lap, and I was like, my gosh, this is too good not to do, because along with the whole package falling in my lap came 10,000 emails of flair bartenders. And the audience is often quite a hard thing to do at the micro independent level. So it was a no-brainer. So I don't think I screwed the pooch with my first movie, but even if I had, this is like a lifeline giving me a second chance, this movie. So I'm really big on capitalizing on momentum. So I parlayed the momentum of my short into my feature, into my second feature, into hopefully my third. And sometimes the problem with parlaying momentum is that sometimes you kind of trip over yourself as you go, and not everything is as perfect as you hoped it would be. But it's a balance between capitalizing on the momentum and getting it right.
And we nearly got to have brunch together in Florida while you were making that film. But
you weren't feeling well, or was it just?
I don't remember. No. We didn't set the time, and then we thought we had, and then anyway, it was one of those things. So, but we're going to have brunch soon. It'll probably have to be in Las Vegas or LA.
Crumpets and tea.
It'll be like that. We'll have brunch. We'll do brunch. And I also think that aside from, possibly being snobby, the thing with your filmmaking is that your work is so visual. You're such a visual storyteller. So I think that a lot of times people think that's not where documentary is,
Well, and again, results may vary, and doing anything at the highest level is the tip of the spear. So why not bring that visual storytelling to documentary? And some amazing documentarians do. I have great respect for documentarian filmmakers going through this process. It's not as easy. It's a totally different set of challenges. It's like a marathon as opposed to a sprint. And so all the things that come with a marathon, the endurance, the momentum, the upkeep, the organization, it's different. So it's interesting.
Yes. And also when you went to AFM, I thought it was very interesting because I told you, but Debbie and I had a long conversation about this, but I don't like AFM. I don't like it at all. And a lot of the reason I don't like it is because there are thousands of filmmakers there who have been lured there by lots of advertising and told that they're going to, you know, get their film deal there. I just, it makes me terribly sad to see all these filmmakers who are there looking for their film deal, and it's not going to happen. But I have been there with clients who have finished films. And so you went there this year with a finished film. Was it your first AFM?
It was. And again, experiences may vary because, you know, I wasn't lured there on the pretense of, hey, you could sell your movie there. Like everyone I know told me not to go. Well, no, that's not true. Everyone that I know told me that I wouldn't get meetings and that I probably shouldn't go.
I knew you would get meetings. I knew, because this is the thing, just everybody who's listening here, Debbie had a finished feature film. And I knew you would get meetings because of that. And when I went before, my two clients had finished feature films. So we got meetings. The thousands of other filmmakers who were there did not.
Usually people that go to AFM have all their meetings set weeks before, and including the exhibitors. I decided to go 3 days before.
If they have something to sell.
Right.
The meetings are for sales. They are not for getting the money for your film.
Most likely not. Yeah, correct. And so, but I went in really hard. You know, I took an iPad, I took a little portable speaker, I had extra batteries in my handbag for people's phones in case they died. I had notes after lunch, I had business cards, I created a business-to-business website, and all that happened in the week before we went, because we only decided, like about 5-6 days before the event. So I busted out all these materials, everything, the business card, the website, the trailer even, like bought an iPad, bought the speaker, bought a whole new wardrobe, just, you know, got a B&B really close. And the thing that I was most surprised about was that that how many people I knew there. I knew like about 40 people there. And it was a combination of friends from Clubhouse, people I've known from Sundance, people I've known from pitching movies 10 years ago in LA, people from Vegas, you know, just grinding all this shit out, because I haven't stopped working in 15 years, freelancing and creating stuff. So, you know, this accumulation of all these contacts over the years just culminated in an amazing experience. And we ended up with many meetings. I think we had like 6 booked before we went there, but we ended up with 20 while we were there, and we got 10 offers on the movie, of which 6 have parlayed into contracts, of which 2 are shit and 4 are fun. So we're going through the 4 fun ones. It was an amazing experience, but the results may vary. Like, had I gone there without making all those materials, had I gone there without emailing hundreds of people, had I gone there without the iPad, without a trailer, without a finished film, had I gone there and been a wallflower?
Fabulous. Well, I think I've figured out how I'm going to do this interview today. So I'm going to bring Jimmy on, and then I'm going to bring Mark on, and then I'm going to.
Yeah, I've been talking way too much.
No, you have not. No, you have not. It was perfect. But so good to hear from you and see you. So don't go anywhere. Jimmy, please join the spotlight. Okay. So, Jimmy, looking back at December 2021, Jimmy, you look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I've had a crazy last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Insane, not literally, maybe insane isn't the right word, but messed up. And I'm just, so I'm glad to be out of that.
Gosh, me too. In fact, before I ask you the first question, I'm going to get my vitamin C. So my first question is, Jimmy, December 2021, what were you thinking about your plans for 2022? What were you looking forward to or not looking forward to? What were you thinking about 2022?
I'm gonna just borrow something from what Debbie did in terms of going back a year before.
Uh-huh.
November 2020, like, I had just resigned and left the corporate world after 22 years. And I was determined that I was going to be a coach, you know, and even though I detest and hate coaching, I hate providing it, not and I'm very ambivalent about receiving it. I started working. So that next year really was accepting that I was going to be making a film. And my initial film idea was on the London independence movement, because, you know, I was, you know, very bitter about my career, my work experience, and most of that happened in London. But moved on to a film that had meaning for me. It took a while for me to get to that point. So we started working together in July 2021. And so this time last year, so fast forwarding 6 months later, 2020 December, I was, I think, 2 weeks into my crowdfunding campaign. And I think we'd maybe raised about 6,000. No, I don't think we'd raised up to 5,000 of what we finally raised. None of my Nigerian donations were coming through, because it turns out Indiegogo does not collect payments from there. So that we permanently lost income because people came back and said they couldn't do it. But it was a very emotionally turbulent space to be like, just, you know what, it's coming, it's not coming. And I really just accepted it was going to be what it was going to be. I didn't make all the calls I needed to make. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
And you were not well at the time. I remember that.
So I ended up.
Just put note to self, no income from Nigeria on Indiegogo.
Yes.
Good.
So for me, because I know I haven't, most of my funding came from the United States, disproportionately so, but the second largest pot came from the Nigerians who really believed in me having to basically give us money off platform, which was better because we didn't have to pay the fees. Right. So knowing that I will always attract that core demographic, I need to look at platforms that make them not feel like second-class citizens. So there was that. So that was really good in terms of, it was not good. It was good at opposite day. It was one of the things that just made me want to projectile vomit all the time. And it made me understand The Exorcist as a film was actually true. It was just not a pleasant experience, Joanne. I will tell you this, I was really pissed at you. I was so angry with Joanne for the entire time. And I was like, you know what, I was just really, really just, I have to say that.
I talk about coaching. I had a coach years ago, and she said, you know, Joanne, there are two types of people in the world. There are the people who blame themselves for everything and the people who blame others. So I've had it come up a lot of times. You were super polite, nice. But
well, I mean, that's part of my English, not saying what I mean.
But right. as a coach, what I know is that when it comes to fundraising, it is the scariest thing out there. You know, they say that the number one fear that people have is public speaking. Well, what if you add on to public speaking, asking for money, and add on to public speaking, asking money for your own project? Those two things ratchet up the terror factor, whatever, you know, that is. And so it's very, very common that it brings up, you know, this anger or depression, either way.
Or combination of.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like, anyway, yes, I feel this, and that I feel a massive space in terms of that fear, but it's not, I hate the fear of failure, because that's, or fear of rejection, because it assumes that doesn't exist. But yes, I like the anxiety, the emotional salad of terror that comes from that is really real. But we made it through. We raised some money.
You raised some good money.
Joanne, wasn't so bad. in hindsight. But I also came in, but I did know, I also want to kind of also gonna co-sign, make a comment about coaching, because I came to work with you off the back of doing some work on myself. I'm doing a little emotional and mental work on myself, spiritual work. But before that, I had signed up for a really horrendous coach, very expensive and disastrous. And I had done, and it was that view of, if you don't follow the coach's instructions, there's something wrong with you, right? If you're not, if you don't show up and do the work and put the effort in, that's why you fail. I did everything and burnt even more money than she asked me to burn. It was when I did my tax return, I felt ashamed of how much I had to spend on that person. And I had done like 2 or 3 coaches trying to get a better one. And I showed up and I would do everything that I can do, they asked me to do. And I won't maybe tell you what I'll put in chat how much I spent. I spent more on the coaching than I spent in my entire film. Wow. How much did I make from all of that effort and all that time? It rhymes with hero. Hero molars. That's what I made. I didn't make, so working and shifting with you, I didn't put nearly that much effort into what we did. And we have raised funds, and as it's counting, I've done 10 screening events. I've had to bring someone in to just keep on top of my inbox because people are coming and asking inquiries about what they can do with my film. And I'm having someone do that. We're getting people reach out to me on LinkedIn. I just had somebody, an Asian man, reach out and saying, in his new company, they're having the issues in vanishing women. He'd like to talk to me and see what they can do. It's not as difficult as show up, be everywhere and do everything and just be insane. Not insane, I hate that, that's a careless word. Just being dysfunctional. And hopefully through spraying and praying, somehow you'll make a movie.
Can you tell everybody what the movie is, by the way? We haven't told them. Vanishing Women. What is that?
It's called Vanishing Women. Experienced women of color overcoming workplace trauma by fleeing the corporate world. And my movie tells the stories of 3 seasoned Black and brown women who left the corporate world due to toxic racism, sexism, harassment, and ultimately disillusionment, and how they work through their trauma and are now rebuilding their lives and their careers on their own terms, doing work they love.
Beautiful.
And it's a happy ending. So it's definitely a happy ending. So in terms of goals and plans for coming in 2022, I was open. I definitely felt I had so many bad experiences. From my career, I was a chief operating officer. So we were always big about business plans and coming up and manifest and putting together these plans and then deciding how we're going to torture our staff into delivering those plans. I had to be clear on that. So coming in, I don't know this space. I don't know what I don't know. And the only thing that I felt for my plan was I will take it a day at a time. I would go as far as I could go. And I would trust, my higher power, that she would help me get as far as she wanted me to get to. And I would not be married to the outcome. If we finished the film, wonderful. If we didn't, I'm not going to be obsessed with how it needed to be. My film started with just women. It ended with only women of color. And that was being open to go with where the process took. I didn't intend to be 2021. Jimi was not going to be in the film. Even if Black Jesus descended from heaven and told me, "Thou shalt be in my film, darling child," I would have said no, but thank you. And what are the winning lottery tickets for next week? But I ended up in the film. I ended up being in the film and my story being told. And I like the fact that I just didn't feel I had to have all that clarity right up front. And now I'm getting more comfortable that this film is about women of color, but much more Black women have been interested in this film. Many, many more African-American women and Black American women are interested in this movie. And I'm just going with that now versus trying to say, this is where my revenue should come. Our hope is to do a PBS broadcast. Our intention is to do that. We'll see what happens. And also to do a lot of private events with Black women groups and the people who support us and love us to show the film more like the screening party distribution, private party distribution, at least for the first couple of years before we go for the more traditional distributor of streaming, Facebook. iTunes, Amazon, Tubi, those I'd like to approach eventually, but our goal is to do the more private party distribution slash something slash a PBS broadcast if we're so inclined.
Of course. That's really awesome. And I love the fact that you were not considering being in your own film, and now you are. I'm not quite sure what that is, but I've had that experience with a few of my clients where they start out thinking, I'm not in it, and they, I'm not sure exactly what is happening there. I think part of it is that once a filmmaker starts to find their voice, then they realize, oh, well, I can be in my film because I have my voice, Is it something to do with that, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely as it began to come more together, I think it helped me not starting my first project wanting it to be about me. So I could focus on what this project needs to be successful. Yes. And then 2 to 3 other women. So the questions, the structure, all of that was done without me in mind. This is what I wanted to share. I think it helped. Then I could slot myself into what I'd already created versus having to create, how am I going to show up? How will I look? No, I'll just follow the method I put. There was also a lot of pressure. I heard a lot of, everybody had advice for me as a new filmmaker. And I call it everything. There's probably a better word, but I call it everything, where they'll sit down and tell me, like in a call, 7,500 things I need to do in an hour to make my film. And it was difficult because I had stopped taking calls from experienced people. And I'll give it an exception. Like talking with Debbi Richards was really helpful. I had a couple calls with her because she was like, really, Jimmy, just, she cut a lot of that crap out, to kind of get to that. But people would come in and they'd be like randomly, it's like, and then, have Oprah be in your film and do the film in space. And then also like, and it was exhausting to have like just that much information coming. And one of the things that I gleaned was, you don't want your first film to be about your story. And they were like, everyone had opinions and everybody had opinions. And I just had to really pull back from a lot of filmmaker spaces with people who were just spouting out opinions opposed to talking about their projects, because it wasn't helpful, because everyone has an opinion. Again, Oprah, and I would love to, and Oprah, if you ever watch this, I would love for you to be in my film, and Jeff Bezos, we'd also love to do it in space. But I'm not, but so for me, I think I wasn't, there's so much of that, and it helped just be able to focus on the operations, finding my DP, talking about what we're trying to do. There's also a self-worth piece in there, which the film actually has been helping me explore. I felt it would be considered, I thought it would be incredibly conceited to be the producer, director, and also the star of my very first documentary. And I like, what did I have to say and offer? And here, as I began to talk to other women about this subject, I realized that my story was they validated the fact that my story was a valid story. I had just as much right to share what happened to me as they did. I also found that a lot of people still weren't ready to come on camera and talk about what was going on with them. And a collateral benefit of this, I remember having a conversation with one of my contributors and cast members, and I call my contributors cast members. And some of them were concerned. There was a concern from because we had like 22 people that we interviewed for the documentary. And there was one woman in particular was a bit concerned. I gleaned, so I booked a meeting with her, and I remember we came to have the meeting, and she was on Zoom, and then her husband kind of swiveled into the camera interview. Said, "Okay, this is a real concern," and of course they're all real concerns. And I'd rather have a meeting and help them allay both of their concerns. And they were still very, very generous and very supportive. But I told them, I'm also going to be in the movie. So there isn't anything I'm going to be showing that I'm asking you to do that I myself am not going to go through. And I felt they came, okay, yeah, definitely. So I'm not going to make a movie with me garbage and then be in it too.
Yes, that's nice. I just want to go back to one thing you said, and then I'm going to bring Mark on. But the thing about the filmmakers giving you all this information, and you said you used the phrase experienced. One of the favorite phrases filmmakers will say to me is, well, I have a Netflix producer on my film. You know, I've hired a line producer, all, you know, and what they're saying is, I've got these really experienced people who are, you know, advising me and telling me what to do. And I just think, oh my God, you know, and one of the things that I like to say about my group of my clients is, all my clients are raising money and making movies. We are not living in fantasy, you know, and so what happens with filmmakers out there, and you know, all of this talk is this living in fantasy. When you have to be the one, both you and Debbie have talked about this, when you have to be the one going out and raising the money, there is no fantasy. That is not about fantasy, you know, that is, every penny is hard earned, you know, both on a logistical level and on an internal level. Every penny is hard won and hard earned, and that is not about fantasy, you know. So I just really heard that in what you were saying about that experience of having people come at you and saying, I know all about filmmaking, and I know this is the way it's supposed to be. It's so common.
Idea diarrhea. It's like I feel they can't stop. It's like they just go, and then it's like, you know, it gets everywhere in your hair. You have to close your mouth. It's like it's just disgusting. And it doesn't make me feel more confident. And what I found is that I definitely enjoyed spending more time with really small, very micro budget producers, because, for example, we made a decision to have a 2-person crew in my film. And someone was like, that's just not possible to ever have. And like, it's not helpful for me to speak to someone who's going to spend their time explaining why I can't use 2 people versus someone telling me how they made an amazing film.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Jimmy. I'm going to bring Mark on. Don't go away. Stay there. Stay right there in England. Okay, Mark Gordon. So my question that I have been asking everybody is, if you look back on December 2022, you know, what did you think your 2023 was going to look like? How did that go?
It's been an interesting year. It's been kind of a up and down, around and round. I ended the year with first with a relationship breakup. So I was trying to find my you know, who am I? What am I doing?
Just in time for Christmas holiday.
Yeah, it was great just before the holidays. So it was very cheerful. And then I had ended the year with I was working my tail off. I was doing a fundraiser. I've completed 1 feature film. I'm working on a second one, and I'm doing short projects for hire. And so in December, just about a year ago today, I had been spending the year learning about the new technology and streaming media, and getting with the show and tell.
Screening stuff.
Yeah, virtual screenings. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a fundraiser, and it's gonna be hybrid. And so I talked with there's an art cinema in town here that's you know, very well attended, and I contacted the manager there, and I'd made arrangements to have this event because it was really too early to have a hybrid event, because people were not comfortable going out in public. So this is kind of like that scene where Indiana Jones is on a motorcycle behind a truck, and they're pushing these barrels out at him. and you're trying to find your way around. So I was in, I really needed to make some money, and I wanted to work on this project. So the manager of the art house gave me a date, and then suddenly was not answering his phone for a week or two. And finally I found out that he had unexpectedly left the place, and there was a new manager on board, and I had to introduce myself to him, and he gave me some dates, and I thought they were like, firm dates. And so the day that I sent the invitations out, he called me and said, he left a message saying, I haven't heard from you, so I canceled the date and I booked something else. So I had to send an apology, like a hold it, here we come, we're going to redo this. What an odyssey it was. So finally he gave me new dates, and it really wasn't enough time to promote it. So we had the event. There was a small audience that showed up, and I had been putting together this show and tell streaming platform, which was like building a website. So I had been focusing on getting that all together. And so needless to say, what happened was there were a few people that came to the theater, and there were a handful of people that watched it online, and people that saw it just loved it, but they weren't funders. So I ended the year kind of exhausted and discouraged.
And paying money out to have a screening that was supposed to bring money in.
Yes, I'm putting money out for that, and plus I had hired a video. So my narrator is Ali McGraw for the film, and Ali McGraw came to this presentation.
Ali McGraw is famous for.
She was an actress who starred in the movie Love Story, and her film saved Paramount from going bankrupt. And was married to Steve McQueen, and is just an amazing person. And she did the narration. So she showed up at the event, and I had hired a video guy who was supposed to, videotape the event. And when all is said and done, he didn't videotape the production. He videotaped his square, just like we have all these squares here. He videotaped the streaming part. So and the lighting just totally sucked. So it was like, hey, I'm really smart. I'm going to have this thing recorded video, and then I'll just play it over and over again and let her sell my film for me. What could be easier?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong here? Oh, and then the other Christmas gift was that I had this brilliant young film student who really understood editing on every program he could do it, and he was great. And I would say, here, go an inch, and he'd come back and he'd say, well, here it's a yard worth of work. And I was really happy. He was super affordable. And his mom got in a car accident and said, if you'll come back and take care of me, I will send you to your master's program. So there I was. And I had
January 2021, you're without a girlfriend, without an editor.
Yeah.
Having paid money for screen for
I had 3 short projects, but the one thing I had going for me was that my feature film has been picked up by PBS, and it's looking at, we're launching it on.
Wait. So we're in December, right?
Yes.
December 2021. It's not looking good.
Not looking good, having a lot of trouble paying my bills.
Right. So what was the change that changed it into 2022 to what did you decide to do to make 2022 go better?
Well, I got two short projects that were paying, and I had to learn how to edit in Premiere so I could get the jobs done. And I didn't have my editor, so I had to teach myself how to use it. And I had experience. I've edited in the past with film and with different video projects, but I've usually worked with an editor. So I was doing my own editing, and the good news was that I had this opportunity for my first film to get shown nationally with PBS, which meant that I could actually go back and get new underwriters. So this was like, you know, we spent $500,000 to do the film, and I knew where the money went out, but I didn't know where it came back in. So the first 4 or 5 months of the year, it became a full-time job trying to get underwriters and trying to market myself, and it wasn't going well. I was having a hard time. We had a lot of funders, but things started to turn around, and Joanne said to me, "Mark, you need to focus on paying your bills." And it was like, great, how do I do that? So I had a lot of great ideas for going after national corporations that might support my film. And after 4 months or 5 months, that it wasn't happening. So I turned my focus on my donor base for the $500,000, and I started going to local businesses that could afford to chip in $10,000 or $20,000 so that, you know, we could have some income. And what my film is called Awakening in Taos, and it's a love letter to New Mexico, and it's a historical piece about the Taos Indian Pueblo and the artist colony there. So finally, I came up with an idea, and I went to the tourism department of Santa Fe, and I said, you know, this isn't a film about Santa Fe, but the people that would come here, that would see this film, that would come here, would stay in Santa Fe first. And I said, and so I worked out a deal with them where they spread $20,000 over 3 years, and I came up with. I contacted one of my our major sponsor, a private foundation in Taos that had provided us with about $90,000 on the first film project. And I said, hey, here's what's happening. It's really exciting. You know, we're going to have 2,000 to 5,000 broadcasts over 3 years. It's going to be a national thing. They're going to launch Women's History Month with it. And it's, you know, it's about an early adoptive feminist. And so they said, great, we're excited about that. Keep us posted. So at one point, I hadn't met my financial goals, and I was really concerned. And
I was breathing down his neck.
Yeah, like, you know, so I'm just like, I'm turning stones. Any kind, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. It was exhausting. But I sent a text message to him saying, you know, I'm a little bit worried about this. I'm not getting any underwriters yet, and I'm afraid we'll miss our deadline and lose this opportunity. And this is like at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm in bed, and I sent them this text saying that I was worried that we weren't going to meet our goal. And they wrote back and said, how much do you need to finish it? And I wrote to them, I said, 15,000. And they said that and 2 minutes later, I got an email from them saying, send us a request, a grant proposal for it, and we'll send you the money as soon as we can. And then I sent them a proposal. Our goal was to raise another 18,000, and I'd asked them for 15, and I sent them a proposal asking for 15, and they wrote back to me and they said, please rewrite your proposal for 8 and make it for 18. So here we go. So
now it's December 2022.
Yes.
And if you look back on 2022, you were saying at the beginning you were not paying your bills, and I was harassing you about paying your bills, and you had this opportunity for the underwriting, and you had a deadline to make. How have all those three things gone? Those three goals gone?
Well, we exceeded some of our goals. We exceeded our goals because we made what we were projected for the first quarter of 2023. We've already brought that all in, and thank you. And we did a fun crowdfunding campaign. We raised about 12,000 with a campaign, but people who weren't comfortable paying online sent us checks. So we actually ended up bringing in about another 15,000 on that. And so here we are now.
Deadline. Are you going to make the I'm sorry, I just want to have you answer this so I can just get Debbie and Jimmy back to finish.
Sure.
Have you made your goals?
Yeah,
Are you going to make the deadline for PBS?
I'm making the deadline. I had a meeting this week with the executives. I have till the 30th of January to deliver all the goods. My editor, we had to have closed captioning. We thought it was going to be about $4,000. It came out to be $675.
Paying your bills.
Hey, I am paying my bills, and I have a prudent reserve at the moment for 3 months worth of expenses. Plus, I have all the expenses planned, and then I had a conversation with one of my funders, the one that had sent us a check for $10,000, and I said, well, here's what I want to do now. You know, we're getting this ready. We need to raise another 5,000 for this, and then I want to start editing my second feature this year. And he said, well, how much do you need? And you know, I told him that, you know, it was 175,000, and I just got an email from him saying, hey, just wanted to let you know that I've sent another contribution your way. You should get it next week. And I imagine it'll be somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
Nice.
So
okay. So
it's not Hollywood, but the money's coming.
It's not. That's a great point. I'm going to write that down. It's not Hollywood, but it's, you know, paying the bills and being a full-time filmmaker is a huge goal for a lot of people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to close with, I've totally run out of time. I usually have time for questions. You know, I honestly was just listening to you all. And I just want to end with, what are your goals for 2023? You have like a minute each. Debbie.
I don't really set goals, but I know what I'm doing. In 2023, I'm finishing and selling the documentary that I'm working on right now. while I'm raising the 1 to 1.2 million for my next feature. So we're planning all that, so all the development and pre-production that goes along with that, leading into 2024. So while promoting the last movie. So it's just, yeah, making movies, selling movies, more of that.
Making movies, making money.
Movies making money. And Mark, I beg to differ with you that it's not Hollywood, because I tell people all the time that, you know, there's this misconception of Hollywood of like these big doors that if you do the magical knock, then they'll let you in or whatever. But I argue that all Hollywood is as an industry and as a concept is just people from all over the world creating content. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, some of it makes a lot of money, some of it makes no money. But that's what Hollywood is. So the fact that all of us are contributing in our own way to creating content, putting it out there, we're as much a part of Hollywood as anyone else. So
Thank you, Debbie.
Okay, Jimmy, 2023, what are you going to do?
So I think for Jimmy personally, I really want to continue doing work I love with people that I love who love me and respect me. That's really critical. I want to bring Vanishing Women, the film and the movement, further into the world. The baby's about to be born. I really want to bring it out into the world. And I would like to use 2023 to really, raise as much money as we can to enable us to do that, and also make inroads with our audiences for the film.
Very nice. And you're bringing it to 1 million Black women.
Yes, in Europe and in North America.
Fabulous. And I think, Mark, you already said, but what are your goals for 23?
Well, obviously to get all the materials that I need to PBS and raise some funds so that I can pay my editors to get started on the rough assembly of my second feature film. And then there's 2 or 3 or 4 short film projects for hire that I'm trying to pull together to work on.
Yay, and pay the bills.
Pay the bills.
Pay the bills. Well, thank you so much. I'm so sorry, everybody who came to listen. Thank you so much for coming. I don't have time to open for questions today because I'm out of my mind with COVID. So that's going to be my excuse why I didn't open up for questions. And I have to jump off because we are starting our class now. I'm teaching a class called 5 Surefire Ways to Grow Your Filmmaking Career in 2023. For those of you who are on here, we're going to sign off and sign on with the workshop link, and I'll see you over there. A couple of minutes late, but we're good. Debbie, Mark, Jimmy, thank you so much for coming today and sharing, and also for all your hard work, because as Jimmy and Debbie were sharing, and Mark as well, that, you know, fundraising is just not an easy thing, and it's not even the my favorite phrase these days is it's not rocket science. You know, it's not that fundraising is rocket science, but the internal work that we have to be able to do to be able to overcome the fear of rejection, whatever all of that is really immense. So I'm just so proud of you all for keeping going and working through that and working through it and working through it. And all that happens is you just pick a bigger number and go for that. You know, that's all that's going to change with the fundraising. Otherwise, nothing's going to change. So thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom, and I'll see you over on the other Zoom. Bye, everybody.
Nice.
Happy holidays.
Everyone.